doses of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples and the Métis Nation. First resolution is agenda, moved by Councillor Blaze, second by Councillor Dowsett. Be it resolved that the January 13th, 2026 agenda be hereby adopted. Questions or comments on the agenda? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Minutes. Next resolution, moved by Councillor Butler, second by Councillor Taylor. Be resolved that the minutes of the special meeting of December 17th, 2025 and December 23rd, 2025 be approved as presented. Any questions on the minutes? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, that will move us straight into our delegation. So I will let you take over.
Okay. You have copies of the financial statements? I'll start on this third page. The second page, the independent auditors report. So second paragraph down, in our opinion, except for the possible effects of the matter described in the basis for qualified opinion paragraph, the accompanying consolidated financial statements present fairly in all material respects the consolidated financial position of the town as of December 31st, 2024. So for the basis of qualified opinion, we qualified based on the asset retirement obligation. So we did adjust for the asset retirement obligation when we were waiting on one quote or assessment for the old arena. And so that was why we still qualified that opinion, because we couldn't determine whether that was going to have a material effect on the financial statements. Any questions on the opinion? Well, it's not a clean audit opinion, but it's only not clean because of the asset retirement obligation adjustment that hasn't been fully done. We'll skip to page 6, the consolidated statement of financial position. For 2024, cash and temporary investments of $7.7 million. Amounts receivable of $817,000. Loans and advances of about $16,000. Real estate properties held for sale, $1.5 million. Getting total financial assets of $10.1 million. That was a decrease of about $1.56 million from the prior year. Accounts payable and accrued liabilities, $1.4 million. Unearned revenue of $4,000. Your asset retirement obligation for 2024, $649,000. Long-term debt of $3.4 million. Getting total liabilities of $5.5 million, which was decreased of about $515,000 from last year. To getting total net financial assets of $4.5 million. Tangible capital assets of $25.6 million. Prepaid expenses of $59,000. Get total non-financial assets of $25.7 million. Getting total accumulated surplus of $30.2 million. Increase of your non-financial assets of about $2.37 million. And the majority of that is all of your capital assets. So you did splash park, various equipment, your 9th Avenue, lots of road reconstruction and paving. And the assets went down mostly due to, your increase in purchases of capital assets. So your cash decreased, and then a small decrease in your amounts receivable due to the decrease in your DFA receivable at the end of 2024 compared to 2023. And real estate properties held for resale, that increased a bit. So that's part of your 9th Avenue subdivision. Some of the costs of the subdivision will go into the land held for resale, so that when you sell those lots, the gain or loss on the lots will go into your income statement instead of capital assets, because some of that infrastructure that's going into your Ninth Avenue is gonna be part of the land sale. Some of the stuff like the water and sewer or any of the roads, part of your Ninth Avenue subdivision, that's your capital asset and that's what you guys do. Any questions on that statement? Okay, next page, your consolidated statement of operations. Total revenue of 9.7 million, so that was a decrease from prior year, of about 1.31 million. The majority of that, there was an increase in your user fees, and the majority of that had to do with your arena fees increasing from prior year. We also had an increase in other revenue, and that has to do with the donation from the estate for the splash park of 525,000, I think it was. And then grants for both province and other, so other would include federal government or any other local governments. So the decrease in the federal or the other was due to the ISIP from your MREC project. And same with the decrease in provincial, there was a decrease in your DFA revenue and also your ISIP revenue for your MREC project because it was mostly completed by the end of 2020. Total expenses of 8.4 million with a slight increase of 888,000. Majority of your expenses were very similar to last year. Water and sewer did increase because you had some increased tier water and sewer repairs here. Any questions on that? Okay. I'm going to skip through to page 17. Notes, some of the notes of consolidated financial statements. I'm actually for note 4, I'm gonna go to the paragraph below. So the town has designated 4.3 million to reserves for debt principal repayments and tangible capital asset acquisitions. In cash, you have a reserve of 4.4 million, so you've actually transferred more money to your reserve than that is actually needed, which is good. You want it to be, it would be the exact same number or you want it to be more, so as you do a cash budget, so you want that, those reserve fund balances to make sure that they're matching what you say they should. Notes 5 and 6 is just more detail on what is included in your amounts receivable and your accounts payable. Note 7, I'm just gonna touch on a little bit. So because of the adjustment to your asset retirement obligation, this outlines that's involved in that. So we did a prospective adjustment for it. So we just adjusted the liability and the capital assets in 2024. Sometimes you can do a retrospective adjustment and adjust prior years for comparatives, but because it was the second year of the PSAB 3260 accounting requirements, we adjusted it in the current year. So the first increase in tangible capital assets, we increased in the current year about $80,000. And your liability was about 613,000, and then we increased expenses by 534,000. So that's how it was flowed through the current year. And we tried to really separate it out in the different schedules so you could see where the adjustments were happening. There's additional details in note 7 on page 18, just to go through what the different asset retirement obligations you have. So you have the landfill site, which is part of Evergreen, your lagoon, and then any buildings you have that have asbestos and lead paint. Any questions on the asset retirement obligation? Okay. I will skip ahead.
So the arena is now included in the asset retirement obligation?
Pardon me?
The old arena is now included in the asset retirement obligation, or is that
The new arena?
the old arena?
No, it's not. We did get the assessment, that they didn't provide a valuation of what the assessment was. We're getting that, we're getting by data in the city. So we'll have that adjustment for next week. I'm gonna skip to page. 28.
Pardon me?
28. So these are consolidated financial statements, so your consolidated financial statements include your library, Evergreen. There's a whole list of them, MCCC and Minnedosa Parks and Rec Board, so there's a bunch of things that are included in here that doesn't give you the actual figures of how the town did. If you look at the core government column, that is just the town's figure, so I always want to point the schedule out so you can really see just how the town did on a consolidation basis.
Sorry, can I just ask one question about the previous note you were talking about?
Yeah.
For long-term debt, under note 8, the utility funds. You have debenture interest at 4.05% maturing December 1st, 2025. And then immediately underneath it, you have principal payments required in each of the next 5 years as follows. So you got payments until 2029, but with the debt maturing December 1st, 2025, why would you have payments past 2025?
Because it includes all the debt,
So it's not
it's
just,
just not just the.
not, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
fair enough, thank you.
Schedule 6, which is pages 29 and 30 are your reserves. Which you probably get regular connections on those balances, so I won't go through that. I will go to schedule 9. Which is your schedule of utility operations. So the PUB likes to look at schedule 9 to make sure that your utility doesn't incur a deficit. You can go to page 34. So at the bottom, you have a net surplus of 105,510. And then you see that note underneath with that asset retirement obligation, so that's the adjustment we had to do for the current year obligation. So we separated it below so that it didn't look like the utility was incurring a deficit, because that's just a one-time adjustment, has nothing to do with the utility operations. And so you did not have a deficit for schedule 9. Schedule 10 on page 35. So the budgeted figures that are on your statement of operations don't match your financial plan, because you would have to record your budgeted figures based on public sector accounting standards. So that needs to include amortization. It would remove transfers from your reserves because we don't consider those revenue expenses. So we take your financial plan, which is the first 2 columns, and then we remove the transfers, we add in amortization, and we actually add in your consolidated entities. So then we get your PSAB budget at the end. So if you ever get a ratepayer that's wondering why this budget figure doesn't match your financial plan, this is where we reconcile from the financial plan to those PSAB budget figures. Schedule 11 is just your taxes on roll and shows basically a cash flow statement of how your taxes on roll did in the year. Schedule 12 is your absence of tax levy. This is basically the same as your page 8 on your financial plan. Schedule 13, your schedule of general operating fund expenses. This is just the town's figures of expenses, so this is a consolidated number. Doesn't include utility figures, it just includes the general operating funds. So as you can see, we'll just use general government services as an example. We separated out asset retirement obligation of how much we were adjusting. $23,000 in general government for that obligation we did adjust in the current year. And we tried to separate it out in each of the different services that. Now I'm gonna go to schedule 14. So under the municipal act, the town is not allowed to incur a deficit, and they did incur a deficit for 2024. So at the end of 2024, you had a municipal act deficit of 480,934. So we kind of were wrapping our brains on how did this occur. So we went and kind of hand out this paper. This was last year's Schedule 14. So in last year's Schedule 14, you had a 1.37 million surplus. And that surplus was due to the debenture funds that were received out of about 3.58 million. So the debenture funds were received for a project that hasn't been completed yet. So under the municipal act, capital expenses are considered expenses. So the funds that were funding your capital asset were all received in the prior year, which is where the revenue went. And in 2024, you incurred almost like 795,000 in your 9th Avenue and almost 613,000 in your MREC. That were technically funded by something that was received in last year. So it was a timing difference of when your funds were received for the long-term debt. Most municipalities will fund the project and then get the debt after. And so we can accrue those funds as they incur the expenses so that the expenses and the revenue are matched at the same time. So this was just a timing difference. And so we're gonna, I think you're putting in a letter to the minister to explain that there was just a timing difference of when the long-term debt proceeds were received, which is your revenue, compared to when the expenses are incurred, because this project isn't just a one-year thing, it's multiple years of expenses. Does that make sense?
Think there's been any feedback, but it's just a common practice.
Deficits aren't, they don't want it, but I think with the explanation that we have, we can clearly see it on Schedule 14. You know, there's the debenture proceeds of 3.5 million. You didn't spend all those funds in the prior year. I think you only spent 833,000 in 2023. Whereas in 2024, you spent another almost 800,000, so you can clearly show, if they actually wanted to come in and look at records, that you didn't spend 2 million in 2023 when you got the money.
Thank you.
Any other?
Are you gonna explain the asset of the utility?
So under the municipal act, they don't specify that they only care about the general, but they only care about the general.
Okay.
The utility is more based on Public Utilities Board on Schedule 9. I don't know that I've actually ever had a municipality that can explain why their utility had a municipal act deficit. And the majority of that is the transfer from the surplus. Which is also a price difference. The 800,000 you transfer to your surplus, or sorry, the 800,000 you transferred to your utility reserve in 2024 was your 2023 surplus. So the surplus is sitting in 2023 and then you're expensing it in 2024. Again, it's that timing difference.
So at the end of the, sorry, so at the end of the day, with this timing difference on both of them, that shouldn't have a major impact going forward then.
So we expect. Because we have expense to Hillside Avenue in 2025. Something like this could show up again in 2025 as well.
The utility one, I think we talked about how on the financial plan, we can record transfer from surplus and then we show the transfer from your reserve. And then we can reflect that on Schedule 14. But you have to show that you're transferring revenue in from your surplus. on your financial plan in order for us to capture that in schedule working. I don't know if you will. You can do a resolution for a transfer from surplus outside of the financial plan, but that requires a public hearing. I think.
Transferring in or out, sorry.
Out of surplus.
If it's offsetting the mill rates, if you're lowering the mill rate, it's not necessary to have a public hearing. If you're increasing the mill rate, then definitely have to have a public hearing.
Any other questions? I wanna make sure you're comfortable with this, right?
So we have a deficit on paper because of accounting between one year and another, essentially is what you're saying.
Yes.
How's that 400?
So I guess it's a good thing we didn't put $400,000 of unrealized surplus towards the budget this year.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Is that where the surplus was?
Which surplus storage?
In last year's financial plan?
It would have been because at year end, I did not account for the Ninth Avenue and Amaret expenses. Each year, that's why.
In the bottom.
The expenses weren't out in the final.
So,
financial plan.
yes, so if we did not have to record the expenses in 24, then we would have been in a situation. But because they had to be. That makes sense.
Okay, any other questions? We're all good?
Yeah.
That's all I have.
And
You're welcome.
nobody's moved yet.
Nobody's going to bed.
That's me.
So before you leave, we'll do that, we have a resolution to accept your report, so we'll do that before you leave, and then you can. Right? We're looking at the kind of fun.
No. If you want to stay, you can stay.
Well, I was just gonna say that, you're more than welcome to stay, but I know your plans, so. So the draft financial audit moved by Councillor Dosset, second by Councillor Butler. That the 2024 financial audit and financial statement as presented by Jenna Reagan, MNC, be approved. Any other questions before we vote? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can drive on.
Thank you.
What you missed was.
Okay, report. Council Butler.
Sports?
Skip all
Yeah.
Oh, did I skip one?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's good to be.
I skipped a few.
Yeah.
We're
outta here.
down there when I thought, oh, we are gonna be done. Already. Sorry. First bylaw here, licensing and regulation of short-term rentals. We have a resolution there for the third reading, so moved by Councillor Butler, second by Councillor Dosset. Whereas bylaw number 2609, licensing and regulation of short-term rentals had received first and second reading on November 18th, 2025. Therefore, be it resolved that bylaw number 2609 be read a third and final time. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Solid waste bylaw, third reading. moved by Counselor Taylor, second by Counselor Marks. Whereas bylaw number 2614 solid waste had received first and second reading on November 18th, 2025. Therefore, be it resolved that bylaw number 2614 be read a third and final time. Any questions or comments on that one? Counselor Marks.
Yeah, item 10A refers to basically if fines were levied if someone was basically illegally dumping. Refers to the general enforcement bylaw. If somebody goes and looks for a general enforcement bylaw, they will find nothing. I'm just wondering whether it should not read the compliance bylaw, which is 2614. And I also think that if we find somebody dumping into one of our bins and it happens on a weekly basis, and I think it happens multiple times, that $50 to $100 is too low.
Any other comments on that?
I think in this regard, we almost reward people that do bad and we punch people that do good. If somebody wants to come here and bring a food truck into town, costs them $200. Sorry. Said if you want to put a food truck in here for a day, it costs you $200.
So you're saying you'd like the fine increased
I would like to see the fine increased.
to say again from what to what?
Well, I mean, right now, it's $50 to $100 for a first offense.
Right.
I mean, and I've sit and watched people back
So
a
what are you
truck up
suggesting?
and empty the bed of their truck into a bin behind where I work.
What?
And I'll guarantee you, it happened at least 3 times in the last month.
What are you suggesting we increase it to?
I don't know. I think we should consider the fact that, we pay tipping fees for all the weight that goes into that bin.
It's probably coming from just outside of. Yeah,
Oh, I just think that $50 to $100 is too low.
Counselor Darcy.
And how would you police this?
Huh?
That's the biggest, how would you police this? I mean, you've seen it, so why wouldn't you call it in?
Huh? Took pictures of it. See it. I mean, this was before the bylaw existed.
Right.
I mean, but, there's gotta be something that we can do.
Counselor Bob.
The fees that you're referring to are not in this bylaw, though, correct?
Well, they're referred to what I would presume are the compliance. bylaw.
Yeah, not disputing that, but they're not in this particular
No.
bylaw, okay. So we need to look at that other bylaw then, if we're gonna
Exactly.
change that, which
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with. And I don't disagreeing with you to increase the fees, but,
That's another thing.
it's a different bylaw, that's all I'm getting at.
It's a different bylaw for. I guess still the policing comes into it, as Tom says, like, how do we?
And I think that's a debate we have when we debate the other.
We should review
bylaw.
that
that's-
bylaw and have that.
Yes, I agree.
Well, how is it, I mean, I don't, how is it different than illegal dumping? What happens if somebody just dumps garbage on the street here?
Well, number one, if they dump garbage on the street, as long as they get reported, that's a littering charge
Yeah,
with the RCMP.
Yeah.
That's not a.
And they will kick that out there.
yeah,
Counselor Bob.
So back to this particular bylaw, if we need to check what the penalties under the general enforcement bylaw, whether that's the correct terminology. Is that correct?
yeah.
Yeah.
this doesn't have,
That's fine. Okay.
So then, this bylaw separate, we'll have to have a look at that bylaw and determine where we go there.
Right.
Right, that's agreed upon,
Yeah.
okay. But for this bylaw, any other questions or comments on it? Counselor Blake.
commercial buildings in certain, circumstances, commercial buildings shall be required. May be required to share a container. When they're sharing a container, are they dividing the expense? Like it's only one?
They're
So
not
there's-
renting the container. It is being placed so that it's convenient for more than one business to get to. So the people are not renting the containers, just like they didn't rent town containers.
So one container is one cost, or is it,
Well, it's,
For example,
okay? please.
so the salon, the accounting of the 50+ center, both, we occupy 2 different lots.
Mhm.
And then all the way to, the restaurant. That all goes in a single container.
Okay,
And
so,
everybody pays whatever it is, the 250 or 275.
so whatever the commercial price is, everyone pays the commercial price for one bin.
Correct.
And
It's
so,
based on
so for that
tipping.
one bin, you're collecting 5 full,
Correct.
all 5 places have garbage.
That's the way
It's
that-
based on garbage at the tipping fees and the garbage collection and recycle collection and all that. It's based on
Okay.
that,
so it's,
not on the dumpster they get.
so it's based on the amount of garbage.
Well,
So it's based on the
Basically,
amount of
yes.
garbage, then,
That's basically what's taking place, because you're paying tipping fees.
right,
Yeah.
what I guess, I'm getting back to the same thing I'm always getting to here, but, so, you know.
You know
So
where that's going.
if they're paying for the amount of garbage, why is it that some are paying for 0 garbage and are still paying full price?
Council Butler and then Council Chair.
So this is, all the businesses don't take one container and divide up the 260 and say it's 260 divided by 5. Everybody's paying whatever the fee is on a yearly basis. Same as what is being paid out, whether you have garbage or not. And whether they have garbage or not, they're still paying the 260 or whatever that commercial fee is
With one container.
with one container. Yes.
Council
Well,
Chair.
I just, like, that's the same thing, you look at William Rose Apartments, or you look at these places, like, I mean, there's 12 suites. And there's a number of people throwing a whole bunch of different things into the garbage bin, and I can guarantee you, lots of them are throwing in things that they normally would never throw in, because they don't have to be responsible for it anymore. Like, I've seen some stuff go into that one over there, and like, I mean, you know darn well, that's not what it's supposed to be put in there. So I don't know how do you
Enforce it.
enforce it? Yeah, like, I mean, when they dump it in there, like, I mean, they take it out and all of a sudden, there's no recourse of anything that's been put in.
There's not room in our back alleys to put a dumpster for every business, so they have to share.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's an issue, and their cost is not based on whether they have one little dumpster, one big dumpster, or 5 dumpsters. It's based on what it costs us to do garbage. The dumpster, we're not paying per dumpster.
Let me go a different direction then. So say for instance, sorry, Robert,
No, it's.
or sorry, everyone. Grandosa, they have 4 steel bins. Okay, so they get 4 steel bins, they're charged for 4 steel bins for seasonal. So for their, and then those bins are taken away. And then they're brought back again in the springtime, and they're hauled away again in the fall time. So are they paying full year for that, or do they pay just seasonal?
They're seasonal,
So they're
so
seasonal.
they don't get garbage collection, and that's not off season anyway. And the dumpsters are taken away so other people don't fill them.
So it's seasonal garbage.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you get classified as a seasonal garbage pickup?
That's how their dwelling is rated, as they're in a seasonal location.
You can-
Councilor Landry.
If I recall correctly, as part of the fee schedule bylaw for the garbage,
I know,
the Brandosa lot was specifically priced at X amount of dollars for seasonal service. Is that correct,
I
Danielle?
didn't remember that.
Okay.
They were,
So I think
Because they're
Brandosa,
seasonal.
yeah, Brandosa's one, there's another couple of lots that are specifically called out by their roll number for being charged X amount for service.
I guess I'm just always getting to the point of, if you have a service, you should pay for that service, and in this case, there is no service, there's nothing being provided. It should be divided amongst the people that use the service.
Well, that's what's happening,
That's what's,
And no, it's not.
well, I mean,
And they're just not paying for the rent on the dumpsters. What you're getting at is to share the cost of the dumpster. But that's.
I'm getting also to the point that people that are being charged whatever it is.
Don't use one.
And there's never ever garbage pickup, not once, not ever will there ever be garbage pickup from that place, but yet the town continues to collect off of 5 or 6 different businesses that I'm aware of and are being charged at that rate. And yet still, I'm not having single piece of garbage picked up from them. So in other words, we're profiting by about $1,500 or $1,200 without having to provide a service.
Okay, Danielle and then Councilor.
I'd just like to reiterate that the garbage fee is just called out on the utility bills. It's more than just garbage pickup and more than just bins. There is the compost site, there is the recycling services, there's covers the tipping fee when a residential property goes and dumps garbage just at Evergreen. It's not just specifically for garbage pickup service.
Yeah, but
Okay,
what if you're not using one of those? You're not using any of those services
okay, have Councilor
as a
Butler.
business. Go
I
ahead,
think it'd be
sorry.
a very slippery slope to have businesses around town opt out, because if by chance they have recycling and or garbage, then more could just say, well, there's a big dumpster over there, I'm just gonna go put that garbage in the dumpster and continue not to pay anything. So I think it's a very slippery slope, and everybody.
It's not
should
a
be
slippery
treated-
slope in certain circumstances because you're into one where there is none, zero zip zilch. And for those 5 businesses.
Are we able to put garbage dumpsters where you're concerned with and satisfy this then? So I feel like we're spinning around in circles here.
We are, because we hashed this out when we.
We've already done this.
But he still has to pay, that's.
Yeah,
I know, but-
still gonna pay regardless.
It doesn't matter what it is.
But you still gotta pay.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry, it's still bitchy.
But we did hash all this out, so, is there anything new under this bylaw?
Okay,
All in favor? Opposed?
Different.
I mean,
Carried.
I voted against it.
Hmm?
I guess because it's a recorded vote.
Because it's 3rd reading, Council Blake voted against it, sorry. I went too fast.
Are you voting against it?
Yeah, it's, I don't think it's complete.
I changed it to,
How did it change?
I changed the general enforcement to compliance.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yes, I did, yes, I deleted the bottom. So I will add it back in, so
okay.
are you voting for or against?
I'll vote for
oh, yeah,
it.
sure.
I like the peas up.
And again, stand up for you.
I can bring that to general governance to discuss
Yeah.
at the next meeting.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable, thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Into. What are we on? What's wrong with that? No business to business. Financial matters. First resolution on the draft financial audit. Here. We did that, we did not.
You already.
Oh, that was the presentation.
Oh, that was the
Yeah.
presentation,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah. So then we have this resolution to do. Moved by Councillor Dowsett, sorry. Moved by Councillor Dowsett, second by Councillor Landry, that the 2024 financial audit, financial statement as presented by Janet Reagan, M&P be approved. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
No comments, no. Are we-
Well,
Well,
yeah, I guess I should have asked that separate time. There were none last time, so I didn't ask you, sorry. Were there comments?
So basically, this makes it so that this is now public information, what is presented. Yeah. And. We all feel comfortable with everything that we heard as rapidly as we did. Yeah.
We had it for a
Okay.
week, I don't, hear it, so.
I haven't had a moment's rest this week, so. Okay.
What is your concern? What would you be asking?
Anyway, Good, that's it.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Can I have, sorry, the vote again, please, all in favor?
The different answer, all in favor, yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, that was my fault. I skipped a step. Thought we had already hashed that out. I will pay more attention next time. Sorry, guys. Okay, reports. Council Butler.
My report's there if anybody has any questions.
So, the retro sign's gonna get painted Morris red, is that the idea?
It probably is gonna be close to that, yes. That's correct.
They have fair painted.
Yes, they do, yes, yes.
Actually, that's wonderful. Just wonderful.
Heritage Village looked after doing that and.
Nope. In 2018, I think I dragged you over there.
That's great.
So it's nice to see it's getting done.
Any other questions for Council Butler?
The shredder, so there's a delay on the order, or?
No, it's gonna be revisited. So what ended up happening was they brought that shredder out, Groundworks shredder, it was a new one. And they ran it for 7 hours, and then it went back to Edmonton, Alberta. And then Evergreen got a bill for $2,500 to damage there's 2 torn belts in it. So some red flags went up that after 7 hours, if there's $2,500 worth of damage. Then they decided that we need to revisit and reconsider this because that would be very high. So they are doing some reference checks, but they're also looking at the other 3 companies that put in a tender before moving forward on it, because we don't want to get something that's going to be costing a great deal in maintenance over a long period, for a short period of time.
In the field of garbage.
That's right, that's correct, yes. So it's being revisited as to whether that is the company or a different company we want to.
Did you have to pay the 25?
They paid 25, yes. As part of it, and
It's hard to swallow it. That's
big time hard to swallow, but
What was their explanation?
so interesting, they said that maybe a piece that went through it that shouldn't have, but they also indicated when they were there that the operator that was putting the garbage in did an excellent job, one of the best that they've seen, because so that was also questioned. Okay, they didn't really have an explanation, just unlucky was the terminology that was used.
How would we know that it wasn't happened like that when it was delivered?
Well, supposedly it was, they check it over.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Exactly, that's
just
correct.
a whole bunch of
Yeah,
bullshit.
so that's why we
Yeah.
backed away.
Yeah.
So re-looking.
Well, they're $2,500 a day for
No, which is,
using it, that's what it is, for every 7 hours, $650,000, the price of the machine is only $1 million.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
right. So
Oh, good.
Okay, so we paid for the demo and then got charged for that.
we paid for transportation, but not the hours that was used.
Okay.
Oh, yes, good.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Councilor Butler? Okay, moving on, Council Landry.
As presented.
So what does that bring the vet clinic cost down? That's like what, 2/3 cost?
Well, we're at over half right now, we think. The tender's closed for the building on January 15th, so we'll get a little more after that.
Oh, you're expecting more from the province? Or
No, just the building, like we sent out for pricing on the building. So we'll have $700,000. Give or take.
Good.
cool.
Okay. That's all I have listed for reports.
I'd just like to make a comment
Okay,
at the, and thank you for the job well done with the doctor and the presentation and the food. Just a little disappointing of the attendance.
the numbers.
And yeah, I just heard that after you read it, it wasn't overwhelmed either. But you guys did a wonderful job, and I just wanted to mention that, so thank you.
Yes, it was very good. Okay, anything under other? We have nothing in camera, right? No resolution, so anything under other?
No surprise, Santa.
She tried to put on the agenda that we had to sing a Christmas carol at the end of the meeting and I vetoed that.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you very much, Ken.
I used to love Grant's rendition.
If there's nothing under other, the last resolution to adjourn, moved by Counselor Dowsett. Second by Counselor Landry. Be resolved that the meeting be adjourned at 6:15 and PM and to meet again on January 13th, 2026. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
That's quick.